400 richest families in America who now control more wealth than the bottom 80% or 90% of Americans, that they are now paying a lower income tax rate than you or I do, than basically any working people, anybody making, between, 20 and whatever, $1,000 a year. That it's, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, right? That's the old cliche. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. If you don't stand for principles, then you've got nothing. And the principle that American business has been standing for since the 1980s, since the Reagan Revolution, since we reconfigured our political system and our economic system in the mold of Chicago school economics, of Milton Friedman and those whack jobs over there, the libertarians, the objectivists and whatnot. The principle that they've been holding to is profit, that money is the only thing that counts. And now we're seeing this very delicate dance playing out with American companies doing business in China, and in fact, depending on China for their survival. I mean, you've got major toy companies in the United States that if they had to stop buying from China tomorrow, they'd be out of business. It'd take them a year or two to build factories here in the United States, or find other sources or build factories in other countries. They'd probably start, in Vietnam or something first, if Congress wasn't to pass some sort of comprehensive protectionist legislation, like tariffs and things, which Congress frankly should. But the bottom line is that the NBA, I mean, this is so amazing. This guy, and forgive me if I get any of these details wrong. I don't follow sports. I love watching baseball, and I like watching football actually. But basketball never even, I played it a little bit when I was in high school, but never really interested me. So I don't know who any of these teams are, any of these owners are, but in any case, apparently the general manager of the Houston Rockets, Mr. Morey, said something about, to the Hong Kong protesters to basically go democracy, which is supposed to be an American value, right? It used to be we didn't suck up to dictators, well, we always have actually. I mean, the Saudis, we made them basically, but we didn't do it publicly. Publicly, we said, oh, no, the Soviet Union, we don't like those values. We don't like dictator value. We like democratic countries, democratic republics. We like the European countries. We like Canada. We want Mexico to be less corrupt and more democratic, small d. We used to say that. And now we don't. Now Trump is saying, hey, it doesn't matter. Crimes don't matter. Congress doesn't matter. The rule of law doesn't matter. What matters is if I win. I mean, he's got, in Scotland, they're suing him for paying legal fees because he sued to try to stop a wind farm off the coast of Scotland that would have been in the line of sight of his property at Tunbury. He lost, and part of losing was he had to pay the legal fees of the government because he instituted the lawsuit. And the Trump organization is now saying, oh, sorry, we're not going to pay. Right? He doesn't care about the law. And now you've got, the NBA stuck in the middle of this thing with Hong Kong. And you've got a bunch of other American companies that are just keeping their heads down. I mean, the NBA is looking at literally $1.5 billion streaming deal with Tencent, which is a streaming company in China. And China just said, okay, that's it. We're not going to, this is for CCTV, for China, for China's Central Television Network. In fact, I've been on CCTV. One of my first producers, just a wonderful woman, who went to work for CCTV in Washington, D.C. They have said now, no, we're not going to play the pregame shows, the NBA pregame shows. In other words, the NBA is threatened with losing money. But now Adam Silver has come out and said, well, we support Morey's right to free speech, but we also, kind of like China, we don't mean to insult you guys. Now, you've got airlines like United Airlines that have literally changed their route maps and their airline designations to indicate that Taiwan is not a separate country and that Macau is not a separate country, that they're part of China. You've got American companies like United Airlines sucking up to the Chinese. You've got American companies like Apple and Microsoft sucking up to the Chinese. Hundreds of them. And the NBA now is kind of caught in the middle. You know, what do we do? Do we stand for American values? Well, I guess the question is, do American values even matter anymore? I mean, as the Chinese crackdown is going on, Trump hasn't said a word. Used to be, I mean, think back to Tiananmen Square. Tiananmen Square was in the very late 80s, was it not, as I recall? 89, thank you, Nate. In 1989, that would have been George Herbert Walker Bush's presidency. So you had a Republican in office, and still we were speaking out about China massacring people in the streets. But, oh, no, not now. Not a word out of Donald Trump. And these are protesters who are walking around carrying, you know, statues of liberty as their logos and American flags. And here's what, and this is where it gets really grim. The Chinese came out and said, this is from Chinese state media, "We are strongly unsatisfied and opposed to Adam Silver's claim of supporting Mr. Mori's right of having freedom of speech. Any remarks that challenge national sovereignty and social stability are outside the category of freedom of speech." Now, how long before that kind of thinking becomes how we think here in the United States? Trump just, you know, tweeted last week, "Congratulations to President Xi and the Chinese people on the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China." Was there a word in support of the Hong Kong protesters, or just in support of the idea of, you know, pluralistic democracy? No, because the only value, the one singular value that Donald Trump has and that the Trump administration has and that American business has is money, is making money. So we're seeing the Kurds being abandoned because Trump was afraid to stand up to Erdogan, and because he owns 2 Trump towers in Istanbul, Turkey. And I'll bet you anything, when we finally get the transcript, that Erdogan was saying, "Hey, nice little hotel you got there. Be a shame if something happened to it." So Trump is like, "Yeah, screw the Kurds." I mean, this is where we're at. And this is where, and these poor, you know, Trumpettes, these poor people who follow Donald Trump, who listen to right-wing hate radio and live in the Fox News ecosphere, the little bubble around Trump TV. These poor people, you know, what are our values? Are we in favor of the middle class? Trump talks about bringing back our jobs. Oh, Trump doesn't want to. Oh, what are our values? Oh, rich people getting tax cuts. I guess that's a good thing, isn't it? Maybe. Well, you know, at least he's making it hard for more brown and black people to get into America. Isn't that a good thing? Yeah. I mean, that's in so many cases, that's where we're left. That's what it all boils down to.